Hey, what it do, baby? It's your boy Parker Martucci the first, aka PM1. Today, I'm gonna be sharing my football story. Alright, let's rewind all the way back to when I was a little kid. Of course, I played a bunch of different sports. My parents signed me up, and I also loved playing them. The three sports that I mostly did was BMX racing, basketball, and football. When I was younger, BMX racing was my sport, and that's what I focused on the most, but I was young, so it didn't really matter that much. Basketball was always more of a hobby and something fun to do when I'm at home or when I'm just at a court, but I was decent at it too. But football was what I really liked to play the most. I was definitely the best at football out of all the sports that I played, and I specifically remember one time when I was a little kid, me and my brother were talking about what we wanted to do when we grow up. We were talking about we want to go to the NBA, the NFL, the type of discussions that little kids have and stuff. And I was saying I love playing basketball, and I might like it even more than football at that time. But I remember I told him I'd rather go to NFL because I was way better at football, and that was my calling. When I really fell in love with the game of football, it was definitely probably somewhere around 2013 or so. It was when Tyrann Mathieu and the LSU Tigers had one of the best seasons ever out of all of college football. I remember after every weekend, I would go and I'd watch his highlights, and even at football practice on my flag football team, I encouraged everyone to call me Honey Badger because I wanted to play just like him. I played flag football for my entire life up until high school because my parents wouldn't let me play tackle, but I was alright with that because I like playing flag and I like just playing football in general. At my middle school, you could only try out for the flag football team in 7th and 8th grade, so 6th grade I didn't play for the school. In 7th grade I went out there and I tried my hardest, but I didn't make the team that year. 8th grade came around and I did work on my training before tryouts even started. I remember I practiced routes with my friends in my front yard, and I made sure I could do everything. When the trials came around, I was doing really well in all the different events in the areas that they were covering. I didn't have a specific position at this point because I just loved playing football, but for the most part I played DB. During the 8th grade season, they already had people that had played the year previous who were bigger and faster than me, just naturally. And they had those guys playing receiver and DB, the positions that I would want to play, so they moved me to D-line. But in flag football, that's just a rusher, and I was a fast guy back then, so I was pretty decent at that and I had a lot of fun with it. So the 8th grade season wraps up and it's time for high school. I had never told my parents that I wanted to play in high school, but it didn't matter. On the first week of summer, they had a meeting for it, and I told my parents then that I wanted to play, so I went to the meeting. Now keep in mind for this whole time and remember that I said back then that I wanted to play in the NFL. And this isn't something that I just told myself, it would be nice if I made it to the NFL. This is something I truly believed in. So going into freshman year, this was my first year playing in pads, playing actual tackle football. So I had a lot to learn. During the summer, I worked on my technique like everybody else. And I remember my coaches were always telling me that I was stronger than most guys at my position. I was about 5'8", 130 at the time. I was pretty small, but I was definitely strong. When pads came around, I got a little discouraged because I couldn't hit like everybody else and I couldn't take a hit like everyone else. I played second string for the most part on JV that year, but I do remember I got an interception on the last play of my first game. At the time, that was one of my greatest feeling moments in my whole life. At the end of the season in my school, if you wanted to go up and play varsity, you could. So, I wanted to be a good varsity player by the time I was a senior. So of course I went up and I played with them. That second half of my freshman year when I was up on varsity and into the playoffs, that was some of the best memories I made in high school. It was a lot of fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't see the field at all. So freshman year ended with football, the spring came around, summer. It was the same routine as the first year, except this year I had some more experience, so I was a little bit better. I definitely have met a lot more guys now, and I was getting into the rhythm of what being a football player actually meant. So right at the beginning of that sophomore year, I remember I had jersey number 14. That was a big jersey number at my school. Everyone would have it. How I got it, I can't tell you. I have no idea. But anyways, I had it. And then maybe 2 weeks into the season, my team went up and played a team in New Jersey. Now I had this negative thoughts in my head that I can't be up there. I'm not worth it. I'm definitely not good enough to be playing up there with them. This definitely translated to my play on the field, especially at practice. So before that week, one of my coaches told me, "Hey Parker, you know you're not playing varsity during this whole season, right? I'm gonna move you down to JV." So I said yeah because I thought that. So I go on JV, I was definitely pretty mad because I had my varsity spot taken away. But then I ended up starting and I got a lot of good experience. I'm glad that I actually went down now because I probably gained a lot more skill and experience by going down and playing in all those games than I would have been on the sideline on varsity. So at the end of the year, I went back up to varsity again. I had a different jersey now. That's why I got really mad because my 14 got taken away, but then I started wearing with the 25 I had the rest of my career in high school. The season ended pretty well. We went into the playoffs decently deep, and then that ended too. Spring comes around and I actually did put in a lot of work because I knew what I could be. I saw it. I was a little discouraged because this was around the time that other people in my grade started getting camp invites. Some people are getting offers for college, and I was getting nothing. One thing I did that spring though that was very important was I went to the Team USA football camp. It's basically a tryout camp to see if you have what it takes to make it to the next level of camp, which is where the invite people start coming in. Fortunately, I performed pretty well. I did a lot of good stuff there, and I got the invite to go to the next level, which was in Dallas, Texas. So after the school year ended, I took a plane to Dallas, Texas, and I went to that camp. It was great. I met a lot of cool people from all around the country. It was awesome. It felt sweet knowing that I got invited to something so big, something out of state. It had been one of my biggest accomplishments to that date. I put in a lot of work that summer. Shoot, I even had a girl. So of course I was feeling really well about myself. I put in a lot of hard work at practice that summer and started becoming a really good player. That season, my junior season, I was playing second string, something that I knew I was in a good position for, because the person in front of me, they ended up playing at UConn the next year after they graduated. So I knew that even though I was a junior and not starting on varsity, I was getting a lot of experience and good reps behind people that were D1 talent. This was probably the season that I felt the strongest and had the biggest future ahead of me. We went into the playoffs again and we finished, if I can remember right, somewhere in like the second or third round. I'm probably gonna have some of my highlights playing right now, but yeah, it was a really good season, and that's when I started not being afraid of hitting so much. I started making some decent plays and I was getting attention. So that season ended, and now springtime, my junior year, I had probably 2 minutes worth of film, and it wasn't from any starting positions except for kickoff and other special teams, but I felt like I did pretty decent. And so the highlight tape I made, it came out pretty well. So I put this on my Twitter. I did get a little bit of attention from coaches and stuff. I can remember I got invited to do a couple camps. When I say a couple, I really mean literally only 2. But that was something for me because I've been so big and I've been waiting so long for that. But I did have one major flaw about this and about my whole time in high school football. I was never 100% committed or 100% sure that I wanted to play at the next level. Something I regret never ever doing was signing out the clearinghouse for the NCAA. I always thought, you know, I'm probably not going to play, so I might as well not. That was stupid at the time. That would have opened up a lot more opportunities for me. So if you're watching this now and you're debating, am I going to be a good high school football player, one good enough to play in college, or should I just not do anything about that and just see what happens with the academics? Then you should definitely fill that out, and you should do everything necessary to give yourself the most options, so that way you can pick. Now, I never got invited to any junior days, but I had seen so many people in my grade go to them that I took it upon myself. So I ended up emailing one school, Stetson University, and they allowed me to come to their junior day. It was a lot of fun, and I really felt like I was a real deal football player now. Like I was getting recruited, even though I wasn't really. Now Stetson was one of the schools that gave me the camp invites, so I was getting a little bit of attention from that anyways. All right, so now here comes probably the lowest valley of my high school football career. It was my spring game of my junior year. Now usually I'm a DB and I play mostly corner or strong safety, free safety a little bit. But for the spring, they moved me to linebacker. I got my weight up a little bit and I was learning the linebacker stuff. So at this point, I'm supposed to be starting for the junior game. I was super hyped. I had a huge ego about it. Nah, I'm playing. But something I didn't do was I didn't take the time to learn everything a linebacker is supposed to know. I didn't sit in the coach's office with him when he invited me to. I thought I was good, but I wasn't. So a week before the game, my coach tells me I'm not starting anymore. Someone else takes my role, and now it's time for the spring game, and I'm not starting. So during the spring game, I'm sitting on the sideline, and after the first drive, the linebacker in front of me, he didn't do so well, so they put me second drive. I did decent at linebacker, but at one point, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I let up a touchdown. This was probably in the third or fourth quarter of the game. The coach took me out. I remember I went to the sideline, and it might sound like a baby for it, but I started crying because, man, I really did blow a huge opportunity that I had. So I picked my head up from this, and then going into the summer, I had a decent summer. But I remember at the beginning of it, I had filled out this whole notes thing on my phone. If I still have it, I'll show it right now. It had all the different camps in Florida, the state I live at, and the dates that they were. I was planning on going on a trip to hit all these different camps. But the thing was, I had gotten so burnt out since I did so poorly in the spring game. I just had such a negative outlook on football and myself that I didn't end up going to any of those camps. I wasted a lot of time and I wasted a lot of opportunity. I did put the work in the weight room. I had younger people looking up to me, so that's what kept me going. I do remember telling my mom one time I was thinking about quitting the football team going into senior year, but luckily I stayed with it. So senior year, now I finally got the skills. I finally can hit like I want to. I'm decent at football. I don't end up starting at all, which totally crushed my ego completely. I was starting on every single special teams though, so I did have something going for me. Since I realized that football really wasn't picking up right now, I started picking up the camera. I started picking up my phone, actually, what I used to record. And I started this YouTube channel. That really lifted my spirits, and I finally did not feel burnt out anymore from football. I had a new look on it, and it was exciting to document everything that was happening that season. It was a lot of fun. So after the first couple weeks of that season, I felt rejuvenated. I started playing a lot better than I had the first few weeks. I started getting some good highlights. And man, I don't even got to explain what happened that senior season because I got all those videos from all the different games up on my YouTube. You should check it out. But anyways, that year we made it 3 rounds in the playoffs. We ended up losing to one of our rivals. It was a blowout. I was pretty disappointed in myself and my team. I remember after the game, some of the seniors, the ones who had offers, they weren't even that mad, but they were decent. They could walk away without crying. But me, I knew this was probably my last time taking off my football helmet. It might have been my last time ever playing the game of football. It was definitely a sad bus ride home knowing this might have been my last time. Man, I hated the way that it ended, and I hated just the situation that I was in so much that I didn't even try to pursue college football at all. Now I know that if I put in some more work, and if I was working the way I did during the summers and the springs, I could have easily been picked up, at least preferred walk-on, but I just didn't have that mindset back then. Now I'm blessed to have such a great life and have a great family, and I'm in a position where football isn't my only way to get to college. I got academics and I'm good at school, so I had to make some pretty tough decisions after I had gotten into a lot of the good schools that I wanted to get into. I had to decide for sure, was I gonna go complete the academic route and give up football, or was I gonna stick with football and try to see where that brings me? Now I had gotten into Florida State, the school that I currently go to, so to me, football is out of the question. It was tough making that decision. It was really tough. I definitely cried some nights because I really did not want to give that up. But I knew at that point that academics was my way to get to a better school. And as the story is winding down, I want you guys to realize something. If I would have really worked a little bit harder, just a tiny bit harder, the extra 1%, I could have been in a position where I could have gone to a good academic school with football. But as you could probably guess, I didn't take that route and I went the academic way 100%. So know that if you put in that work, you can get options and you won't regret it. Now I'm not saying I completely regret not sticking with football or not putting that work, but it does harm me from time to time. I definitely want to dive deeper into these topics and all the ones I covered in this whole video. So if you find any of the area of this video interesting, let me know in the comments and I'm gonna make a video specifically about that. Thank you guys for watching today. It really feels good to let it all out and tell someone about the story. Alright man, I hope to see you soon. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. I'll see you.